Yeah, I mean, that sucked. Like that's exactly what we said was going to happen. This offense is just not going to show up. The pitching can go out there and have the best day of all time. And when you have 4 hits in a baseball game, that's what you get.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
As always, I'm Braden Iwasco. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5 Iwasco. Carter First too, as well on our main TikTok or Twitter account at Locked On Jays. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok. There we go. At Locked On Blue Jays as well. You can find us on here on YouTube. If you guys want to go over to the YouTube page, hit the subscribe button. It's free to do so. You might as well. You get your podcasts, your shorts, your live streams, your videos, all there for you. You can see me and Carter. We're at our first slow pitch game of the season. The boys got out of there with a win. Shout out the Blue. Decent game. Start of the year. Guys were a little rusty. It was all right. The Jays, on the other hand, yeah, that wasn't good. And there's some good things to take away from this. I think a little resurgence from Bowden Francis, his first no runs posted of the season. You like to see. But at the end of the day, this offense continues to be anemic. And the sort of what I said after last game, and some of you guys sort of argued me in the comments, and that's totally fair. I said I think I don't take much out of this win. I'm not happy with the 2-1 win because you see the offense be a problem. And I'm not necessarily worried about getting one win here, one win there when I look throughout the entire season and it's continually the same problem. This offense does not show up on a consistent basis. And then they do for 2 week span. And they have us all thinking that, oh my goodness, they're so back. This team is great. But it's again, and I don't want to get too low because the biggest thing with this team is not get too high, not get too low, because from week to week, they're a completely different baseball team. And that's super, super frustrating. This was a bad game. And you had a chance. You got to the bullpen early. You had a chance to make something happen. There was situations that this team had opportunities to score runs and nothing. I think that this is, I don't want to say a low point of the season because they did just pick up a win and they didn't get swept here in this series. They have still have a chance to go and pick up a series win tomorrow or today, I guess you guys listen to this. So I don't know. It's hard for me to really pinpoint where my head's at with this team. I'm just very disappointed with this offense. Even in the final inning, and we'll get more into the game as we go here, Carter. But I think what sums up the season is Vlad and Bo have chances to do something in the 9th, and it's a strikeout and it's a ground ball, and it's. You have a chance to give Daulton Varsho the chance, a guy who's swinging a hot bat. You have a chance to give him an opportunity to get up to the plate in the 9th, and our $500 million player strikes out in a big situation. Which, honest to God, I thought he was going to hit a home run there, and then it not end up mattering anyway. But yeah, it doesn't even get Daulton Varsho to the plate, the tying run to the plate. So yeah, just a very frustrating game overall, Carter.
Yeah, and you're definitely frustrated for valid reasons. This offense has not been very good. Thank God they pick up a win in that first game of the series. So the offense isn't really giving us a whole lot of confidence going into another series where you have play another good pitcher that they are going to score runs. And it's not that the Blue Jays, again, when you're not going to have your best stuff every single day, whether you're an offense, whether you're a pitching staff, whether you're a bullpen, whatever it is. So picking up wins when you don't have your best stuff is definitely a good thing. It is nice that you can work through some of the growing pains and get those tough wins. But again, we've seen this be a problem this entire season, and it is Vladimir Guerrero Jr., it is Bichette, but really this all stems from Anthony Santander, in my opinion. If you look at this team without Anthony Santander's production and this offense, like just even on paper when you look at it, it is strikingly similar to 2024. And 2024 was not a very good season. I know this team was slightly above league average in weighted runs created plus, but when you looked at the eye test, you watched this offense day in and day out in 2024. And unfortunately, there is a lot of similarities to this offense here in 2025. You have Bichette, again, playing a little bit better. Maybe Daulton Varsho's playing a bit better. Maybe Alejandro Kirk's playing a bit better. But Vladdy's playing significantly worse right now. You're not getting consistent production from anybody on this team right now. The bottom of the order has probably been the most consistent thing on offense right now. So we're still seeing, again, a lot of these problems. I don't care who the pitcher is on the other side of the mound. We're still seeing a lot of problems with consistency in this offense from the big dogs on this team, the Vladdies, the Bows, and the Anthony Santanders, all the way down to the middle of the guys, the Varshos, the Kirks, the Bargers, you name it, and then the bottom of the order guys as well. Again, you look in this game, you are 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position. That's, again, simply just not going to get it done, unfortunately, against any single team in baseball. So definitely frustrated for the right reasons right now. And something, unfortunately, that we have been seeing this problem that has been lingering throughout the entirety of this 2025 season.
Yeah, I don't know. And maybe we got to ask you guys how you guys are feeling. And we got some comments on yesterday's sort of going over the same stuff, is that I think we're seeing it is a different season than 2024, I guess. Right? I think a lot of players are playing better than they did last year. Vlad is not. And Santander is a black hole in the lineup right now, which sucks. It sucks to say that, because this is a guy that could be a game changer. But instead, he's a absolute black hole, right? Like this season, you have Addison Barger playing well. You have Nathan Lucas playing well. You have Miles Straw being actually serviceable, which I was very shocked to see. You have Bichette having a better season. Alejandro Kirk having a better season. Varsho having a better season. It's you're seeing that in the wins, right? You're seeing this team be on pace for probably more wins than last year. The problem is that it seems like one of the big problems going in for the last few seasons is everybody not being on the same page all the time. It's either you're getting your pitching, the odd game you're getting the bats. The bullpen's been very solid. I really don't have too many complaints with this bullpen. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. There isn't one. It's the guys having to show up every day and put their best foot forward, and this team isn't. And is it the way that this roster is constructed? Is it how, there's a lot of different complaints you could have. But at the end of the day, realistically, can you bank on George Springer having a complete bounce back? We've seen, obviously, you cannot, because he has started off well, but he's falling off the face of the earth now. Can you bank on Santander, Vladdy, and Bo all being good? You'd hope so, but we haven't gotten that either. So where does this organization hang its hat on? Do you hang your hat on being having a great pitching staff through and through? Well, okay, but this starting pitchers haven't been absolutely lights out. They've been good. They haven't been lights out. The bullpen's been good, aside from a couple blow-ups. But when you have zero offensive production, how can you expect to win baseball games? And even the ones you do pull out, that's great, but you're seeing the underlying problems that I could have went back to game one of the season and told you that these holes are still there. And when you get nothing from Anthony Santander, that's nail in the coffin pretty much for your team.
Yeah, for an offense that was, again, supposed to be kind of average going into the season, that was assuming that everyone was going to kind of perform up to expectation. We definitely have not gotten that so far through the season. The Blue Jays' identity is pretty much lost right now. Their identity is they're going to be inconsistent and they're not going to have a very good offense. The starting pitching is going to be a little bit all over the map. And they have a decent bullpen in this game as well. Nathan Eovaldi is out in the second inning, has a tricep injury. So you don't necessarily even get to Nathan Eovaldi. You just kind of get lucky in a sense. I don't want to say injuries are lucky whatsoever, because injuries are horrible. But Nathan Eovaldi does get removed from the game in the second inning. They have a bullpen day kind of from the third inning on here. And again, you go 0 for 10, not 0 for 12, but again, it doesn't really matter. You don't get a hit with runners in scoring position. You don't score a run in this game. The last 5 games, you've scored 4 runs as a baseball team. You said Bichette's been like okay to good. Bichette's not even really been that. He has a 710 OPS. He has a weighted runs created plus of 101. That's 1% above league average. When you're looking at Bichette, you're looking at the caliber of player Bichette has been in 2021 and 2022. Just the offensive capability that this guy does have. It has not been up to expectation whatsoever.
No. I just said better than last year, which is
That's the ball.
that's a given.
Is right on the floor right now. Like maybe it's up, you got the ankle socks on at this point with Bichette. But if you want to have a good, successful baseball team and you want to have that bounce back season from Bichette, it has not been that good for a guy from Bichette. Maybe for your standard, typical leadoff hitter, but that's not what this team needs at this moment right now. Anthony Santander, again, you could go into how bad this guy's been. Without that addition right now, you are really seeing it hurt, obviously, this Blue Jays team right now. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been, again, the best out of the three, I guess. But again, for a guy that has a low 800 OPS, hasn't really hit for the power that we've seen. And again, these big timely hits that we have seen in some scenarios. But again, looking at that ninth inning, if he gets on base, maybe you have a little bit of electricity in the building. Maybe you get a little bit of momentum. But I don't really think the Toronto Blue Jays know what momentum is. Doesn't really seem like, based off how they've been playing recently, especially if things on the positive side, if they've been playing good recently in one facet of the game, it doesn't seem like momentum exists for the Toronto Blue Jays because it is a literal coin flip pretty much on every side of the ball, other than the bullpen, you can say has been pretty good. Then with your high leverage guys, the Jimmy Garcias, the Jeff Hoffmans, you have seen those blow up starts. So we haven't really seen yet with this team through 54, 55 games, whatever it is at this point, the bullpen firing at all cylinders, the starting pitching firing at all cylinders, the offense performing up to expectations. We haven't gotten all three of those facets of this team to be cohesive, to be playing well at the same time. And that has been one of the major problems that we have seen up to this point with consistency, especially for this Toronto Blue Jays team.
Yeah, and Carter, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back. I want to shoot some stats off at you to show you that this team is not only just mid, but some stats are killers. If you are bad in some statistical categories, that is a proven point of how good or bad your baseball team is. We're going to get into that, plus a lot more. I know Carter has a couple questions for me, so we'll get into all those before we talk about Game 3. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go between dining out, online shopping, entertainment? It's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control of your finances. Eating out, it's a big one, right? For a lot of people nowadays. And you know what? Sometimes you need a gut check. And sometimes Monarch Money, that's where it can be of assistance. You can see, hey, I'm spending a ton of money there. I'm spending a ton of money on purchases that I don't need to be spending on. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app either. It's a complete financial command center. You can track your accounts, investments, spending, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. And that's something I really wanted to get into, is managing my money properly. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. 50% off is insane. Take advantage of that deal while you can. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. So, Carter, continuing on, I said I wanted to talk about some stats here just as we continue on our complaining rant, whatever you want to call it. The Blue Jays tied for 24th in runs, 15th in hits, 15th in average, 15th in on-base percentage. And you think, wow, that does sound like a very mediocre team. This is a big one. Tied for 23rd in slugging. That, to me, is a stat that stands out. 19th in OPS. Home runs, 25th. Your major offensive stat categories, you are below 20 in the league. That is massive. Runs allowed, 21st. For a team that we say is pitching heavy, is defense oriented, you're 21st in the league in giving up runs. ERA, 23rd. Home runs against, 29th. This team is, if you look on paper sometimes, this team is mediocre. You could say it's an average team. But when you really dig in and you're sitting there watching all the games, you're seeing holes. And I don't want to say this team is not mediocre and it's a dumpster fire. I don't think it is. I think there is potential for this team to be decent. It's just whether or not they actually show up to the ballpark that day. And I don't know how to say it. If you want to call it a coin flip of a day, whatever it may be, I don't know. It's getting frustrating because I don't know what baseball team I'm going to see go out there every day. I don't know if it's going to be the team that's going to go out and score 8 runs. I don't know if it's going to be a team that can't even get a hit. I don't know if it's the pitching staff that's going to give up 6. I don't know if it's the bullpen going to blow a lead in the 9th. I don't know if it's going to be an 8-inning performance from Kevin Gausman. I have no idea. And maybe that's the fun of the sport. But it's also an absolute dagger to the fans. Because you just are praying to God that you get a good baseball team to watch on that day. Carter, like we have buddies over sometimes on the weekends, and we're like, oh, yeah, we'll have the buddies over, have a couple beers, throw the Jays game on, we'll have a good time. But then it's the 8th inning, and this team has 3 hits, and it's like, all right. Like, you want to have fun, but then you're just a little bit depressed sitting in the corner drinking a couple beers with your friends. I don't know, man. I'm just frustrated.
Yeah, it's been a tough watch, especially recently. And I got some more unfortunate stats that unfortunately this is kind of isn't a segue into. There are 2 players right now on the Toronto Blue Jays that have an above 800 OPS or an 800 OPS or above, I should say. George Springer is clinging on to an 800 OPS. He has not been good recently whatsoever. That is going to dip below 800 probably in the next couple of games. And then you have Daulton Varsho at 800. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has officially dipped under that 800 OPS as well. Daulton Varsho, the way he's playing, that could fluctuate a little bit, could go a little bit higher, could go a little bit lower. So you have George Springer, who in 2 games probably will not have an above an 800 OPS, and Daulton Varsho goes 1 for 4. He might have another OPS under 800. So there would be nobody on the Toronto Blue Jays that has an OPS over 800, unless, again, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. could have a 2 for 4 hit day, whatever it is, could hit a home run. Yeah. That could elevate that OPS. But clearly, like you said, you went over the home runs, you went over the OPS, you went over the slugging, you went over pretty much the power statistical categories for a baseball club, and they have been in the bottom third of the league. And you look at the pitching staff, again, you haven't really seen Kevin Gausman has been very good the last 2 starts, but you haven't really seen what you want to see from him. Bowden Francis has been all over the map. Erik has been good in the starts that he's had, but then you had Easton Lucas, who we were relying on before this year. Jose Berrios has not been that good. Chris Bassitt has been the one shining spot in this rotation. Again, the bullpen arms kind of have been fluctuating all over the place, but again, you've seen in big moments, in big instances, relievers blow games. Starting pitchers not necessarily have their best stuff. One guy that could help this team right now, I'm not going to really draw too far back on this right now, but with Bowden kind of, having some fluctuating starts, Erik being in this mix. Ryan Yarbrough has looked really good this year, has a around 3 ERA, has a below 2 ERA in his last 23 and a third innings, could be helping the pitching staff, could have a little more stability over there. It's kind of what I was saying earlier on the season, but there clearly are the main problems here with the offense, the offensive consistency, and just the lack of power. And again, without Anthony Santander, if we're him playing the way he has been playing, he hasn't really given this offense a chance to have that upside, to have any sort of power ceiling whatsoever. And that has been something, obviously, fans and us have been noticing for this entire season.
Yeah, and I got to eat crow completely on the whole Lovelady Barnes Yarbrough thing because, God, you know what? Maybe it does make a difference. You think he's one of these one-off guys. Maybe he had just a break, sort of a great year. And did you really think he was going to be able to bring it back? Who knows? I was wrong on that one. That guy's doing well. But at the end of the day, yeah, I don't know. Does it matter if Kevin Gausman or Jose Berrios or Chris Bass, whoever goes out there and throws 8 innings, but your bullpen or they give up 2 runs and you still lose a baseball game? This offense needs to be better. And yes, you have reinforcements coming. And if you're talking bullpen, starting pitcher Spencer Turnbull is getting ready to go. Probably another start, maybe 2 in AAA before he's ready to rock. Does that help? Maybe. But if the offense isn't scoring runs, it doesn't matter anyway. So it's getting to a point now where it's either we see the offense go or that's great. If we win a 2-1 baseball game, that's great. But you got to know that even if this team somehow makes to the playoffs, winning every game 2-1, how you have any kind of confidence going into the playoffs to win a 2-1 baseball game for multiple games in multiple series in a row? It's not going to happen. And I know maybe playoffs is a crazy thing to talk about right now because this team does not look like a playoff team whatsoever. And can they? Can they look like a playoff team? If you have Bichette, Daulton Varsho, Alejandro Kirk, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Anthony Santander all going, and then you get some production from Barger, Ernie, all these other guys. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think that's a very reasonable conversation to have, but we haven't seen all of these guys play well together. We have barely seen them play well by themselves, never mind together. So this offense needs a gut check. And it's getting to the time where it is gut check time. It is put up or shut up. You're 2 games below 500. Sorry, boys. Figure it out or don't. Some guys' contracts are on the line here. Bichette has a contract on the line. For a guy that wanted to be making, or people were suspecting making $200 million, is this a $200 million player if he continues to play like this? I don't know. Is a team going to take a shot on a guy who was just injured and then had a pretty mediocre, if not below mediocre season? For his standards anyway? I don't know. And again, I think I have very high hopes for these guys. I think they can be good. It's just when? When are we going to see it? I don't know. A lot of complaining for me today, but it's where we're at. I'm frustrated watching this team every single day.
Well, and you can't really say it's early anymore. You can sort of spin zone it in that way, but we're 54 games into the MLB season at this point. That is the 1/3 mark. That is quite literally, if I do my quick math here, that is 1/3 of the way through the season. So at this point, again, it is sort of early, I guess, but you can't wait any longer. Like, they're 2 games below 500. Again, if you tread water, we'll have to see what this front office does at the trade deadline. But at the end of the day, when you're looking at this team, you just went over kind of, the basic general stats from the run scoring, the offensive production, the pitching on this team. In reality, this team has a top 5 payroll in all of baseball. And we are struggling to get to 500. We're struggling to get hits. We're struggling to score runs. We're struggling to get timely hitting in big moments. It seems like every single baseball game. At what point, again, are we going to have to blame somebody for what is going on this season? Maybe it can get better. It can get a whole lot worse as well. So that's the issue, is that what direction is this team going to go, and how long, again, is too little too late for this front office team, for this roster construction, and obviously for the players that are playing day in and day out. Some questions will be coming up. Again, unfortunate questions that you don't necessarily want to answer. You thought it might go the other way, and you might, winning solves a lot of problems, but again, we're getting close to that deadline where, again, someone might have to get in the hot seat once again. We're going to have to figure out who that is going to be.
Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm free to offer this up. This is Ross Atkins. Enough John Schneider complaining. I don't want to see John Schneider complaining, because this guy hasn't had a chance to make a wrong decision. I haven't seen enough wrong decisions made by John Schneider for me to be like, yeah, this guy, he's the issue. No. This team has a top 5 payroll in baseball. For what Ross Atkins is doing, he has to make sure that he brings in the pieces that are going to fit well together. And the guy has not done his job. So I'm sorry, I don't want to keep going on the blame the Ross Atkins train, but here we are, 2 games below 500, and this team looks anemic. This offense looks horrific. Whose fault is it for a top 5 team on the payroll? It's Ross Atkins' fault. You got to know who you're bringing in here. You got to know which pieces are going to work, which pieces are going to fit. You don't have to be a top 5 spending team in baseball to be successful. You just have to find the right pieces, and this guy has not done that. And I don't know. There's a lot of things that, we wish could have changed in the offseason, and different guys that would have been brought in. And to be honest with you, I got my way. So I'm not saying that I am, better for the job than Ross Atkins, but there's got to be somebody that knows more than me that can stand up and make better decisions, bring in better guys, sign better contracts than Ross Atkins. Because at this point, I'm done. If we take another month of this team being this terrible offensively, the playoffs are going to be a far dream away.
Yeah, and this is obviously a very big conversation to be having right now. I think the issue with Ross Atkins is it wasn't necessarily this offseason. Again, that Andrus Gimenez trade right now, again, not looking great in hindsight. This guy's eventually going to make $23 million a year. Andrus Gimenez making $23 million. That makes me want to absolutely throw up. But again, this offseason, not necessarily that bad. You add Jeff Hoffman, you add Anthony Santander. The issue is what you brought in coming into that offseason, not the additions you made there. It's just the overall withstanding team that you did have. And again, the prospect pool, there's so many different things that you can go into. Some of the contract extension, the Vladdy thing, we brought up a lot with Ross Atkins, obviously. So that is a conversation for a different day. But again, that day is coming up a lot quicker than we definitely anticipated. So when you talk about who's at fault for the baseball team success right now, the first person or the first people I'm always going to point out is the players. Ross Atkins, again, unfortunately, he can't anticipate that Anthony Santander is going to have a 550 OPS after hitting 44 home runs. But again, he is the guy that built this roster. He is the guy that made some questionable trades, made some questionable decisions. So again, that conversation is going to come up, and we're going to have to, again, blame somebody for what we are watching for 162 games in this MLB season. But there is one more thing I do want to go over, and it's just Bowden Francis. Before we get into this last segment here in the preview of the third game of the series. You brought it up. First game of the year, we did not allow a run, and he doesn't even get the win. Gets a no decision, 5 innings of scoreless baseball, because you cannot score a run for Bowden Francis. But again, one thing that was interesting to see right here is that Bowden Francis goes out for the 6th inning, allows a base hit immediately to the top of the order, and just like that, John Schneider yanks him out of that game. You can tell this leash is very short for Bowden Francis, and honestly, I cannot complain about that whatsoever. The way he's been performing recently, the stats point to his third time in the order, his stats being a lot worse than they were the first 2 times. Obviously, players becoming a little bit more familiar with his pitch mix, a guy that's not going to blow you away with the velo. Sometimes the command has some issues there as well. So I think, again, right here with John Schneider, I think he's approaching this Bowden Francis situation very well with all things considered.
That's what I mean. You know what? This guy hasn't been a major league manager for very long. There's a learning curve. And I do think that John Schneider is learning. I think that was absolutely the right play there. And yes, hindsight will always be 2020, right? That, you know, the bullpen comes in and Yariel Rodriguez gets smacked around, and then we have a different conversation. Why did he pull him? But I don't know. I'm starting to believe more and more that John Schneider does know what he's doing and is learning from his mistakes. Now, am I the biggest John Schneider guy of all time? No. I've seen the guy make mistakes, but I can't put any of what's going on him. I think for the majority of the time, he's making the right decision. I think the last 2 outings with Bowden Francis, he's pulled him at the right time. And it's tough to know when to do that, and he's figuring it out. So good on him. But Bowden Francis today, I liked him. He looked really good. It's just the fact that, is this sustainable with Bowden? And what is his comfortability level? Is it 2 times through the order and then get rid of him? He was supposed to be a 4th, 5th guy. And can you be upset with if that's what you're getting out of your 4th, 5th guy? He goes 4 innings without giving up a run, and then you yank him because hey, these guys are going to figure him out. If that's the case, I'm really not upset. If you figure out how to use him, I'm really not upset.
Yeah, looked really good in this game. Actually went 5 innings for the first time in a little bit as well. But again, the scoreless ball is the thing that you are worried about. The issue with Bowden Francis right now is that he hasn't necessarily been even good enough to be a 4th or 5th guy. Has giving up a ton of home runs. Obviously, you haven't seen that in this game. But there is a lot of reinforcements obviously coming up with Bowden Francis as well. You're going to have Spencer Turnbull. You can have Erik Lauer in that situation. We've seen Yariel Rodriguez being used a ton with Bowden Francis as well. So there is a little bit of flexibility there. But again, the overwhelming thing isn't going to be Bowden Francis, having one of his best performances of the season, touching 96 the fastball. That could be another reason why he did pitch very well in this game. Again, the Texas Rangers offense, honestly, without Corey Seager, isn't necessarily that good either. They have been struggling immensely in this series as well. It's just been which offense has been more anemic. And so far, I guess it's been relatively even. The Toronto Blue Jays offense has looked better. But again, we're talking about timely hitting. You're talking about actually scoring runs and making the plays in a baseball game that matter. Toronto Blue Jays obviously have not done that. And I'm going to end this little saga off before we preview this next segment with just my quick take on John Schneider. Again, it's a massive conversation. I'm not really going to go into it too much here. But for this year, you cannot blame John Schneider for what's going on. Do I trust John Schneider to make decisions? No, I'm not going to say that at all. I think he still has been learning, but I still don't trust him. I think he does make some boneheaded decisions from time to time. But if you're talking about just strictly this 2025 season, leaving all the past in the past, not taking previous years into account for this season, you cannot blame John Schneider for what is going on right now in this season. Yes, you can blame him for some decisions in the past. Yes, it is fair to say that you don't have the utmost confidence in this guy. But if you're talking about the blame game this season up to this point, John Schneider is not, I don't even know, maybe he's the 3rd guy you can blame. But even then, I think there is massive shares going to obviously Ross Atkins and the players that are actually playing on the baseball field.
Yeah, totally agree. Let's take a break here. Let's come back. Let's preview the final game of the series. Plus, I do want to talk a little bit about the Addison Barger play. That was hilarious too. So we'll come back. We'll talk all about that right away. So Carter, continuing on, the Addison Barger play, my man. Sorry, I got a little frog in the throat there. But what did you think of that one? That was something interesting.
Yeah, I just kind of gets lucked out a little bit. One thing with Addison Barger that you absolutely love to see is that you're never going to have to complain about effort or hustle with this
Yeah.
guy. But you are going to have to complain again about some of the mechanical issues, again, some of the plays that you should be making for a baseball player. But yeah, just looking at this play, Alejandro, I think it is Alejandro Osuna. I know his last name's Osuna for sure. Again, a rookie on the Texas Rangers, makes a pretty smart play. Again, when you're running the bases, just kind of sits in front of Addison Barger a little bit when this ground ball's at him. Just leaves as the ball is approaching him. Addison Barger obviously makes an error on this play, kind of eats him up a little bit. But for some reason, Osuna just is very quick to round third base and rounds it very aggressively. Addison Barger sees this again, the hustle here showing up from Addison Barger, kind of tracks him down at third base. He tries to juke him. That does not work. Kind of ends up working out for Addison Barger. But again, a little bit of just, like little league baseball, I think we kind of saw in this game. Again, two younger players. Yariel Rodriguez looked, again, disgusting on the mound. But yeah, definitely just kind of a saving grace for Addison Barger in that situation with a play that he definitely should have made.
Yeah, I mean, just tough, but funny play overall. It didn't end up hurting the Blue Jays, so I'm more okay with it just because it was funny. It was some sort of a one-off. He gets the play made. Is what it is. Carter, talking about this, game 3, what do you see coming up?
You see another tough pitching matchup. You got Melee versus Eric Lauer, who has been pretty solid up to this point. But then you're going to have probably a Jose Urania coming out of the pen after that. Again, when you look at the pitching matchup on paper, you're not exactly excited, but screw the pitching matchups at this point. Let's just look at the offense. I mean, you scored 2 runs in the last 2 games. You scored 4 runs in the last 5 games. Doesn't matter how good your pitching is if Eric Lauer can go 4 innings scoreless. And then if you're going to blow the lead in the 8th inning, again, that's why you haven't even brought up Chad Green in this episode. Did give up some runs, but how can you blame Chad Green? How can you blame the pitching staff when you haven't seen any offense whatsoever in this last little bit here? Somehow can salvage a series. So that would be an unbelievable series win for the Blue Jays. If they can pull this off, these are, again, the tough fought games that you have to win if you want to be a competitive baseball team, if you want to be a playoff baseball team. The playoffs seem like they're slipping farther and farther away as we continue to watch this offense, continue to watch this team just play inconsistent baseball. But I mean, I guess in the big picture, you get swept by the Rays, you do sweep the San Diego Padres. If you win a series against the Texas Rangers, you're not in a terrible spot with all things considered. So kind of just staying afloat, that has been the theme of the season. Again, you want this team to take that extra step, but we're not very close. If anything, we're taking a step back right now. So I think this would be a huge series win. I said that there isn't necessarily momentum for the Toronto Blue Jays, but maybe this would be the thing when they're not playing not even close to the best brand of baseball and somehow still sneak out a series win against a kind of a struggling Texas Rangers team.
Yeah, that would be great. It would be great to see. And Carter, I was just looking at the YouTube page, and we got a comment asking, "Where is Davis Schneider?" Well, we got the answers for you guys. It's not crazy. He's in AAA. He's just not doing great, and it's too bad. He did earn a Player of the Week a couple weeks ago, but at the end of the day, batting at 224, 4 home runs, 17 RBI, 3 stolen bases, and an OPS of 738. You know what? He's a guy that I really want to see do well, but things are just not going his way. He is not playing the brand of baseball that's going to get him brought up to the major league club, which is sad to see. A guy that I think was well loved in Toronto. And I hope nothing but the best for him, but that's where we're at with him.
Yeah, if you're going to ask for any savior from AAA right now, the guy that's kind of lighting the world on fire, didn't really do it at the MLB level, but Alan Roden has been ridiculous. Had another triple in yesterday's ball game, has over on 1,000 OPS. Does that translate to the major leagues? We haven't necessarily seen that with a guy like Alan Roden, but maybe there is a play in the future here where you do pull Alan Roden up with the way some of your other players have been playing. Will Wagner, again, not really lighting the world on fire. Carlos Martinez has been playing a little bit better recently, but not a guy you're going to call up right now. Joey Loperfido, again, not playing that great of baseball either. Has been a little bit better recently as well. But are these guys going to be that fix, that spark plug in this offense? Absolutely not. You're going to need your big dogs to eat. Like we've been saying in the offseason, like we've kind of said at the start of this season, if your stars aren't playing like stars, you probably aren't going to be very successful. So it all starts at the top, obviously. You do need all your guys to contribute. But the only way I can really see this going is that somehow the Jays squeak out like a 2-1 win, maybe a 3-1 win. That might be a little bit optimistic. Or they get absolutely blown out, and this is not going to be a very fun conversation tomorrow. But again, hopefully the theme of the season, consistently inconsistent, can continue to go on, and maybe the Toronto Blue Jays somehow come out with this offense and put up maybe, let's ask for a field goal to start, but I would love to see a touchdown be put up on the scoreboard.
Sure, me too. Yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see what tomorrow brings us. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. I was pretty low on this podcast, but I got to practice what I preach. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. Have a great night, everybody, or a great morning, great day, great afternoon, great Wednesday. Watch the Blue Jays game. Pray to God that it's a good game, and we'll be doing it with you guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow.